holistic view, me here and everybody else out there. And not seeing that actually the way I see the world is through my preconceptions, my opinions, my tendencies, my habits, my cultural background, whatever, and what happened to me before. And this is what colors that picture outside here. I'm not seeing it like that, but really believing that whatever I see out there, that's really the way it is, and it is separated from the mind. It's not created by the mind. So he calls it an optical delusion of the consciousness. So this is what Buddhism is all about. To see that this is just like an illusion. Or like an illusion. It's not a complete illusion. There is a basis out there, but that base is very, very subtle. And then the consciousness kind of starts to creates things on top of it. And then we get attached to it, or averse to it, and then we have the negative emotions. So basically all our life, and not just ours, but everybody else's, is kind of, we live with that wrong view, or with that misapprehension. So then, of course, we don't have the happiness that we could have and that we would like to have. Yeah? So this delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening the circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. So this is the task, so it's a big one, because embrace, he says, like widening the circle. So in Buddhism, one widens the circle to include absolutely everybody. Yeah, so that can be quite frightening. And one goes in steps. One doesn't have to go like from total self-concern to concern for others. And forgetting about ourselves. So this is why first we look after ourselves, so then we can forget about ourselves. Because dismantling this wrong view that there's a separate me or a separate self, you can only do it when you are well, when the ego is okay, when it's very small, when it's not very present and not very, stirring us up. Okay, so this is what we will do this weekend. Do you have any questions so far, or comments? Yeah.
He wrote it as a condolation letter for a friend that lost his daughter, I think, in a polio or something, in a disease. This is very interesting that he used it as a condolation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is very
right. Yeah, to say, well, you're not. One thing is you're not alone in that pain. But this is it. The moment we separate ourselves from this and we think we're alone and with our pain and with our problem, and then the problem becomes very, very big. Yeah, whereas when we start looking around, how many people are there who have other problems, and okay, a problem is a situation. It does need a reaction. But if you react with a lot of anger, aversion, and then you react too strong. And then the whole thing gets worse, actually, instead of getting better. And sometimes a very good solution to the problem is that first we sit down and we accept it, and instead of starting to react with this very agitated mind. Yeah? You have to talk really loud, because I'm getting older and older, like everybody else, and I hear less and less and less.
If I want to change habit,
yeah.
Well, a bad motion, and how I do it in the way of Buddhism?
If you want to change a habit, it's like by thinking about the advantage of changing it, how it would be to be without the habit, and the damage that the habit is doing, like the consequences of continuing to behave like this. But then usually we don't want to think about far-reaching consequences. Yeah? And then if you want to change habits that are very strong, you have to be very kind to yourself. And you have to start to see that you have to start to dig up your own potential. It's very good to every day, like if you are in the process of detox, like you want to take something away from you, if it's a substance or something, that you start doing things that you like doing and you know how to do. Because the habit, the negative habits, the worse you feel, the stronger the hold is on them over you. Yeah, so, and slowly, and maybe also, I don't know what your habit is, also getting help, also getting together with other people who have the same problem or have the same negative habit, like that. And awareness, I mean, you learn from Glenn how to be aware. It's good to practice it, like maybe 2 minutes every hour, like to say, okay, these are my 2 aware minutes, so that it also becomes a habit. Yeah? Or at least every morning you do, I don't know what he told you to do, how long every morning?
20 minutes.
Hmm?
Well, as much as you want, but 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes I think is, you very quickly get in, it might be long at the beginning, but you get into the habit very, very quickly, and then it becomes like brushing your teeth. Yeah, it's like you wouldn't get out of the house without brushing your teeth. It's a habit, it has become a habit. When you were a kid, your mother had to ask you, did you brush your teeth? And then you, oh no, I forgot. And so now, nobody needs to ask you. I mean, of course, there's always exceptions, but I think that's quite rare. So it becomes a habit to be aware. So, it is, if you're not aware, the moment you notice it, it already happened. Whereas when you are aware, you can feel the pull towards whatever it is, the pull towards telling the lie, the pull towards gossiping, the pull towards reaching out to that whatever substance it is. So to really notice the pull, then maybe at one point you are able to say, okay, not right now, but in 5 minutes or something like that. And so you extend this time to try to be a happy person. That's the thing. That's we're not very good at. This is when I talk to these teenagers, when I say life it's very easy to be stressed and to be frustrated. And it seems like society is getting more and more sensitive, and it needs very, very little. I mean, Switzerland, a small thing, because we don't have that many big problems as you have here. Like people fly off the handle. It's like you get really upset and start shouting at each other for almost nothing. Somebody makes a fire in the garden, which is not allowed, and then they threaten to call the police and the fire will. Like, it's crazy. Like neighbors having wars with each other because one is doing barbecue and the other one is a vegetarian, and you can smell the meat, and I don't know, it's like, so like this. If we would be happier, we wouldn't get upset about these things. The unhappier you are, the door for the negative emotions and the needy mind is wide open. So do you have methods so that makes you happy? See, when we hear try to be happy, what methods do we have? Do we have strategies? Do we have methods to be happy, to have a happier life? Do we? Which are what? Tell me your strategies and methods. When you're unhappy, what do you do? Nothing?
Maybe to remember.
I get up and do something when I'm not happy.
Like what?
Whenever I sit still, I get unhappier.
Okay.
So if I want to be better, I don't know in terms of happiness, but in terms of my well-being, I go and do my everyday chores. I just go and wash the dishes, and I try to enjoy the warmth of the water, and I feed my kids, and I do my everyday stuff. And I use music. I can put on the radio. just everyday things and routines, and being very focused on what I do.
Yeah, being focused. It always gives us energy. And it's a very good strategy to do the things that you have to do anyway. So usually when we're unhappy, we don't feel like doing them. So we have to give ourselves a little push. Because the longer we don't do them, the more the dishes pile up, the unhappier we get. So already that creates a lot of, for me, it's cleaning windows. I think it's great because then I can go and look at them at least 3 times that day when I clean them. I go like, oh, it's done. They're so clean. And so that's a very good strategy to kind of do the things that you usually don't like to do. Because usually we do the opposite. We try to do things that we like to do, but very often it's consuming. Yeah, so, and because the mind is not happy, it doesn't find any pleasure in what you're doing when you consume things. So it's not much point spending a lot of money when you are unhappy anyway. Yeah? So a good way, for example, is to reach out to others and be kind to them, trying to help them. But then we don't feel like that also. So then we have to give ourselves a little push and put borders, say, okay, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or I'll buy a cup of coffee for that colleague in the workplace that I really don't like, or something like that. There's there is no universal remedy for that. Yeah? So the first step is always what?
Stuff.
What's the first step?
To recognize
To accept. Okay, I'm not happy. What does the Buddha say? First noble truth. You said it.
Yeah.
There is suffering. So then you go like, oh, okay, what is it? So you try to identify it. What is it? It's the list of the sufferings. It's like, for example, there is uncertainty, never having enough, being like dissatisfaction. Then there is this one, if you are born again and again and again, you have to die again and again and again and again. And that you are, no matter how high you get, you always have to come down, and then you're quite alone in this whole process. It's not that we are by nature alone, it's that our ego creates that aloneness when you're unhappy. I don't know if you ever felt that when you're unhappy, you feel very alone. Yeah, it's because we don't see that we're just a part of a whole. For example, also a very good thing is when we're unhappy, we take ourselves so serious also, and everything becomes very heavy. So another good strategy is you just sit down and you think like, I'm just a tiny, tiny, tiny particle in this universe. I make such a big fuss about myself. If you go in a train station in New Delhi or maybe also Tel Aviv, I don't know, or the big train station, and you see there's a camera here, and you see yourself in that crowd of people. It's like you're nobody. It's like you're just one of all these people. So for some people, for me, this is very. It releases. It really. It makes myself open again. It's like wow. Why do you think you're so? Sorry for the word, bloody important. Everybody is sometimes unhappy, so it's totally okay. So then it loosens up a bit. You can also take like body feelings, experiences, the body that you feel it. So you can use your out breath by really opening up, for example, here. Or if you rather want to have a bit more courage to say, okay, whatever comes, I'm open to it. When you breathe in, then that also opens. So it depends. It depends a bit. You kind of pick here with this. You become your own therapist. The Buddha is giving you lots of methods, but it doesn't mean that each method works for every person always in the same moment, or that one method works for everybody because we are so different. So we can only give you a few tools, and then you can apply them yourself. What about eating? The refuge in the fridge. I'm unhappy, so I really deserve that now because I'm unhappy. Is that?
So now you will have a reason to be unhappy.
Huh? Who said what?
I said that you go to the refrigerator and now you will have some reason to be unhappy.
Yeah, for example. It's not to be found. So before you reach out to whatever it is, then you ask yourself, what am I really looking for? Yeah. But it sounds so easy, doesn't it? But it's so difficult, you know, when this kind of pull is coming, push from behind is coming, because what it sees, it already sees happiness there, you know, or relief from unhappiness. But basically the Buddha is saying, look, this is part of your life, and a lot of it is like unhappy state. So because we carry with us a certain amount of fear all the time, or tension, because we have wrong view about reality. This is the problem. So this kind of tension, even sometimes it's very subliminal, like me and others, which is wrong, is always there. Yeah? And I think, like in Buddhism, there's not so much talk about fear, because fear is something that accompanies every negative emotion. Mm-hmm. You know, you get angry. Why? Because you are afraid that you will be together with something that you dislike. Yeah? You push and you reach out to something. Why? Because you think, you're afraid that you won't be happy when you have it. You're jealous. You're afraid that that person is better than you. And all this. So this kind of fear is actually, or tension. Tension is a good word also, because unhappiness makes us tense and small and restricted, and then we can't live our potential. So that kind of fear, tension, is actually accompanying every moment of samsaric life, of an ordinary human life. Yeah, like we have views that we talk about them tomorrow that are mistaken, but we hold on to them, even though up here we know that they're wrong. Still, our emotional response to them is totally different. Like impermanence, for example, we don't see impermanence. We think we know, but we don't. We know it in the head. Yeah? So this is wide, and either we settle with this and say, okay, this is part of the package deal here, being a human being in cyclic existence, or what the Buddha says, these are the causes, you can eliminate them, and how? And this is what we're doing. So some of those views that you will be hearing, you might not be happy with them, and you might not agree with them. That's fine for me. Yeah, because I'm here to tell it's Buddhism from A to Z. It's not psychology from A to Z. It's like Buddhism, meaning from a being that has its potential to total altruism and wisdom being covered up, to a being who has uncovered that potential. So it's a long way. And it's a big task, and it's difficult, because the habit goes me first, and then the others. Okay, sometimes also my family, I'm not saying with that, but not the neighbor's kids, my kids. Yeah, so this is a very, 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 very strong habit that we've had. There's no beginning, so that we've had like life after life after life after life. Again, this is what Buddhism says. If you don't believe in rebirth, then you have to leave the course. Yora said I should say that. It's a joke. We said, well, because that's what we usually say, and it's totally like this. If that theory, because it's just a view. I don't know if there's rebirth or not, but it helps me to be ethical, yeah, and also to see that, well, yeah, I do have time to unearth that potential, because if it's only one lifetime, and it's finished at the time of death, why would I be ethical? I just go and have a good time. But now I can also feel that's not true. It wouldn't be enough, because being ethical, if you choose to be ethical, it gives you a good feeling about yourself. That's the good thing about being ethical. But if you do it to impress others, or because somebody says you're not allowed to do this, then it's not working. But if you say, yeah, this is great, I really want to become an unharming person, and I really want to be a benefit to others, then I can give you a good feeling about yourself. Much, an open heart, you can go out in the world unafraid, nobody can accuse you of everything and all this. But so it depends at what stage people are, because I also say, well, if you travel without a ticket and the conductor comes out there, I would I'd be so ashamed. She said, no, I wouldn't care. And that's true. There's some people who say, I never buy a ticket. And even I have to pay a fine, it's still cheaper than buying a ticket every time. So there's people like this. So whether you belong to those or not, I don't know to which one you belong. Everybody makes a choice. Yeah, but you see, I think being ethical, I know it sounds goody-goody and like this, I don't want to be like this, but being ethical would be such a win-win situation. Because if you are, especially if you have power and you go, you are behaving in an ethical way, people are inspired by you because we do like ethical people. Or do you like unethical people? Huh? Are you inspired by them? Wow, he's so clever, look what he did. Nobody found out until now how corrupt he is. Isn't that wonderful? We're not going like this. Yeah? Whereas if somebody, or being honest and coming out and admitting making a mistake or something like that, everybody finds it so inspiring. But yeah, it's still very, very, very difficult to do. But it would be such a win-win situation. The world would benefit, the people themselves would benefit. But I don't, one can really ask, why does anybody who has already so much money that they're not able to spend it in one lifetime, why are they corrupt? And why do they amass more money? What do you think? Oh, the answer is coming from there.
From the West.
From the empty spheres of the galaxy. What does the galaxy say? Why do you think they still need to amass more money? Kind of habit, and also trying to find happiness in having a lot of money, and then because you don't find it, of course then you say it's not enough, I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more. Yeah?
I think they see it as a sport, and maybe they just feel good whenever they do a good business or whatever.
Yeah, it's also it's there, as you say, kind of sport. I don't know. It would be interesting to really ask a corrupt person, why are you doing this? They would come up with very good explanations.
Not all rich people are corrupt.
No, I'm not saying that. So, I'm not saying that. But some are. Some are, exploiting their employees and all this. They wouldn't have to, because they have enough money. They could give them wonderful salaries and not exploit them, but they don't. So, the big question is, why? Then we can look at ourselves and see that we also behave in unethical ways sometimes when it's not necessary. Yeah. So maybe same thing, it's just a bigger scale. Mm-hmm.
Do you see difference between being ethical one-on-one and being ethical toward the system? For example, we do all kinds of things to avoid tax. Because our government is corrupted and we don't like our money to be wasted for, I would say, wars and corruption. Okay? So I enjoy doing barters without tax. I enjoy not writing receipts or paying someone without getting a receipt. So I wonder if you have idea about it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't tell you that this is okay. I know you would like to hear it, Losang or Rita said it's okay, because there's a lot of tax money that is getting lost because of black work and all this, so somebody suffers from it. But also, then the taxes, so it's a kind of spiral, because then it spirals up, because then if not everybody declares what they should declare, then that means then whatever the government is, they try to get whatever they can out of you. So then if you're honest, you kind of go bankrupt almost, because you have to pay too many taxes. So you really have to check your motivation when you are doing that. So as I'm saying, we can cook up quite nice motivations why we are not ethical, and then to really see whether that's really true. And to at least see, I wish, to create like motivations or or wishes. I wish I'd be in a country where I can declare everything and I don't suffer so much from it. Yeah.
It might be interesting because you said before that we always can find reasons and justify themselves and believe ourselves, and it gets a habit.
Yeah.
So it might be an interesting exercise to take if I going to avoid paying taxes anyway. Might be interesting to take, not to cheat and take money without receipt, but to put aside the exact sum of money and then give it to some things, that not keep it in my bank, but give it to some goal which I think is a good one. Mm-hmm. And if I can do that, maybe it's a good start. I'm not saying that it's okay, but it's better than...
I feel that following Leora, I'm giving a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I enjoy giving money to people who need. But I have hard time paying the government.
Yeah, I understand. Everybody has, even in countries not like Israel. Even in Switzerland, people try to avoid taxes, to pay the full tax.
I have a lovely story about
Yeah, okay, nice.
One of our Tibetan teachers came into Israel for the first time. He had a good impression from the state. But he heard one of us saying the same thing. I don't like to pay tax because it goes to purposes of corruption and purposes which I disagree. And he said, funny. He found it funny because he said, in Israel I saw great highways and nice streets and buildings and education in schools. In India, I can understand why people don't like to pay tax because they get nothing back. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, everything is relative. Then I heard what Anila said this evening about Switzerland. People are paying in the train even if they haven't been caught by the end of the road. They ride, and Israelis were looked and said, why should I pay if nobody caught me? And they said, okay. It seems to us, like India and Israel and Switzerland, why would it's understandable why they pay there. Here, I understand why people don't want to pay, because we are there corrupted here. And there they have reason to pay, because they believe in the system. So it's relative. Yeah. And then I found it was funny for me to hear it, because I felt the same thing as he felt when he heard about Israel and India.
And also it's a very nice system to give a free access and just trust the citizen. Whether it is paying or not, it's very unique. It's a very common thing for us. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gives the notion that you want to give the money. Exactly like you want. Why do they do that? Why do they just keep
It's just, everybody thinks that the taxes are too high. Everybody thinks that. It's just a common view. So me, I also pay taxes because now I get a pension, so I have to pay taxes on it. So it's quite new for me that I have to pay 1,200 or something a year taxes. So people say, well, you should do this and you should do this. And I said, no, I can afford it. And I say, look, it doesn't even pay half a month for somebody who cleans the street, and our streets are really clean. So I'm quite happy to be able to contribute to it. So, because taxes you have to pay anyway, so you might as well pay them in a happy way. And as this Lama said, to see the good things that is also done with the money. It's not just the negative things that are being done with the money. But anyway, this whole thing about ethical conduct and all this is a very personal decision that we have to make. So if you do like Leora says, that you know what you should pay, but you're not paying that big amount, and the rest goes to whatever charity and all this. I'm not sure if it's like, there's laws also, so then we have to also, as a spiritual practitioner, you try to abide by the law as much as possible. It's one point in the 7-point mind training that you abide by the law that you are in. We're all responsible for our own deeds. That's the thing that we're going to take with us at the end of our life.